everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World and a very happy Monday. Hopefully you are staying warm. You are where you are. It's currently 5 degrees here in Fort Wayne. So it's supposed to get warmer by Wednesday, though, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm David Huffman. Right there is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. And on today's episode of The Prime, we're going to be talking about the 2024 NFL coaching carousel. And if you're anything like me and TJ, you just will finish watching the Buffalo Bills put the finishing touches on the Pittsburgh Steelers. That game might not be over, but it's over. As TJ told me hours ago, the game was over. Welcome to the show, TJ. Happy Monday, man.
Happy Monday, I guess. Happy Martin Luther King Day.
Happy Martin Luther King Day. Yes, exactly. Let's swing right into the NFL coaching carousel. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Let's take a look at the coaching vacancies right now. So we got Josh McDaniels. This is in order of when they opened. Josh McDaniels fired in Las Vegas. Frank Wright fired in Carolina. Brandon Staley fired from the Chargers after they gave him 63 points on primetime television. Arthur Smith fired in Atlanta. Ron Rivera fired in Washington. Pete Carroll moved to an advisory role in Seattle. Mike Vrabel fired in Tennessee. And Bill Belichick steps down from the Patriots. Gerard Mayo is being promoted to the head coach of the Patriots as part of his contract when he originally signed that extension this most recent offseason. Let's talk about each one of these real quick. Josh McDaniels in Vegas. That was a long time coming. We didn't break down each firing as they happened. So I just wanted to real quick grease the tires back on that. Josh McDaniels was just not a good coach in Las Vegas.
No, he's
not a good head coach.
He's not a good head coach. He's a fantastic coordinator. Like, you need somebody to design your offense, he can do that. It's just he's not a head coach. Like, this is his second stint as a head coach, and it went worse than the first one.
They've gone about how they usually go. First, you alienate your star quarterback, right, and then you stink up the place the next season. He actually coached more games in Denver than he does Las Vegas. They came to their senses earlier than the Denver Broncos did, but the script was very similar. In Denver, you alienated Jay Cutler. You upset your best quarterback. In Vegas, you upset Derek Carr, and the rest is history for.
Gruden was the one who started the alienation of Derek Carr. Gruden never really wrapped his arms around Derek Carr first. So it was pretty much easy for Derek Carr to be like, yeah, I don't want to be here.
And then Frank Wright fired in Carolina. The team got off to a woeful start. Never really was given the freedom to really coach this team. He becomes the first coach to ever be fired mid-season by two franchises in back-to-back seasons. I just think I think Frank Wright was just given an unfair shake here. I think he's a good head coach. I don't think you're going to be able to win Carolina if you're literally anyone on the planet.
No, you have a very impatient isn't the word. Like, David Tepper's just dumb. Like, he's dumb, and he's what's wrong with new ownership. New ownership, we see it. They're hyper aggressive because they literally just spent billions of dollars. And yeah, I want a return on my investment. I get that. What you fail to understand is that return on your investment isn't going to be instant. Like, you're not just, I bought a team, I'm going to win the Super Bowl in a year. No, that's not what happens. It never happens. That never happens. So, yeah, Frank Wright wanted C.J. Stroud. The GM wanted Bryce Young. And if I say it all the time, head coaches have to have a say in who they coach. We saw it. We saw it here in Chicago. It was literally the downfall of Tom Thibodeau and the Bulls because Garpax went different ways and didn't listen to him. What's up,
welcome into the show, Israel Rivera, CEO of Prime Sports World. And Brandon Staley probably should have been fired after the debacle in the playoff game last year. Is fired after that giving up 63 points on primetime television. Brandon Staley just constantly making boneheaded coaching decisions. That firing seemed like it was a long time coming.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people say he should have been left in Jacksonville after you blow a what was it
20,
28
27 to
8 point
nothing,
lead, 27 nothing lead.
28 nothing, whatever lead was.
Yeah, a lot of people say like he should have been left in Jacksonville.
Fired
Yeah,
or
he
Redwood style.
he should have been Herm Edwards style fired. But man, hey,
I
look,
mean,
man, hey, Brandon Staley, when it came down to it, I mean, he was just too aggressive at the wrong times. I mean, sometimes you like to be aggressive at the right time. Sometimes it worked for him, but most often than not, it didn't. Also, I mean, he's the defensive coach, and that defense just wasn't very good. I mean, albeit there were some health issues. I mean, Joey Bosa's been banged up for what the last couple of seasons. Khalil Mack was a godsend for that team, but most of the time that Chargers defense just wasn't up to par. And so, when you're a defensive head coach and your defense isn't up to par, I think there's something wrong there. So that was a long time coming. For Brandon
Arthur
Staley.
Smith fired in Atlanta, 2 losing seasons in a row. I think he had back-to-back seasons of 7-9. Really boils down to the fact that they have offensive weapons on this team, and he's supposed to be an offensive coach. They just didn't utilize them effectively in Atlanta. That's probably what led to his downfall there in Atlanta for Arthur Smith.
Arthur Smith would actually be good. He can actually just go work for Papa, who's the CEO of FedEx. And he can go ahead and deliver some packages. Okay. I'm just playing. But
I think that he was like you said, they never failed. They failed to develop a quarterback after Matt Ryan left. 2, I think he's unfairly compared to Matt LaFleur because they both came from the Tennessee Titans. Like obviously Matt LaFleur left first, and then he took over, and then he was there for a couple of years, and then now he got the head coaching job in Atlanta. The difference is Matt LaFleur inherited Aaron Rodgers and rode that train for a couple of years, and then Arthur Smith didn't inherit that. Izzy, I can hear you smacking mute yourself.
Oh damn! I try to be a little discreet there.
No, ain't nothing
not at all. Yeah, not at all. And then Ron Rivera fired in Washington. This feels like a change in ownership, change in coaching staff. Ron Rivera just seemed like Riverboat Ron, the end of the era for the Washington Commanders, as he dealt with a lot as the head coach of this football team, going through cancer. I don't remember if that happened while he was part of the Panthers, but that was part of his cancer diagnosis. The Daniel Snyder stuff, all the stuff with the Commanders, Redskins, Washington football team. Now they're the Commanders. New ownership.
FBI and...
Yeah. Just Ron Rivera went through a lot when he was the head coach of the Washington Commanders.
And he wasn't Riverboat Ron anymore either. All those, those aggressive.
Having a guy like Cam Newton makes life
a lot easier to make those decisions. Yeah. You can push your chips in the middle of the table and cash out, right, TJ? When you don't have that in Washington, it's kind of hard to make those decisions.
4th and short, 4th and 5. Hey, number 1, QB draw.
That's why you run Cam Newton to the ground and he's out of the league already. So and then Pete Carroll moving to an advisory role in Seattle. It does not feel like Pete Carroll wants to be in this advisory role. It feels like he's just being pushed out of his current position.
Good. No,
he's the oldest coach in the NFL.
He's 72 years old, dude. Go sit down.
Man, Pete Carroll still got it, man. I think
he's the oldest coach in the NFL.
He's still a good head coach, and those players played hard for him in Seattle. I think it's a travesty that they pushed him out of his position without him. Like he deserves to decide. It's terrible.
It's the end of an era. It's the end of an era. He was the last of that Legion of Boom era. I think
it's a travesty. I think it's a travesty. Pete Carroll should have been able to decide. He should have been able to decide when he wanted to step away. He shouldn't have got pushed out by. It's terrible. In my opinion, it's awful. It's terrible. Trash.
I know opinions. I know opinions can't be judged, but I'm judging you on that one. No,
it's terrible. It's terrible. Mike Vrabel fired in Tennessee. Led this team to one AFC Championship game, but has woefully underachieved the last 2 years, basically because of the injuries to Ryan Tannehill and other players on this football team. Mike Vrabel fired in Tennessee. Thoughts?
Same thing at Atlanta. You went young quarterback back-to-back years. You didn't develop either one of them. Like you stuck with Ryan Tannehill. If the goal is to ride with Ryan Tannehill, then go get weapons and build around Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. You don't draft two young dudes and not play the first one, and then have him sit behind Ryan Tannehill for 6 weeks and wait for Ryan Tannehill to get hurt to be like, damn, now I guess I got to play the rookie. I know, like that's bad coaching.
But now they're gonna get a coach. Now they're gonna get a coach that probably wants to get his own quarterback in there.
Probably not, because why the GM?
Maybe he doesn't like whoever. Maybe he doesn't like Will Levis.
I imagine they'll hire somebody who understands. Like, hey, like Will Levis is probably going to be the guy. Like they're hire the GM and then bring the coach in.
Like, yeah, you got to, like, that GM is going to be like, hey, Will Levis is the guy. They probably going to do something to trade. They probably going to do something to Malik Willis, trade him, whatever, because he's just not getting. He just can't see the field there for whatever reason. And yeah, like I don't know where Mike Vrabel, like the rumor for Mike Vrabel is Belichick out, him in. We'll wait and see that. I don't know.
Well, Gerard Mayo has already been promoted to the head coach of the New England Patriots. Speaking of which, Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick steps down from the New England Patriots, ending a tenure of 24 years, 6 Super Bowls, I think 9 AFC championships. Gerard Mayo is being promoted to head coach. He will be the head coach of this football team next year.
That's crazy. Gerard Mayo is relatively young, isn't he?
He's the youngest head coach of the NFL. He was Sean McVay,
and he was a linebacker, right, or edge rusher for.
Also crazy. Bill Belichick has now drafted more head coaches than 1,000-yard receivers. He's drafted 3 head coaches. Well, he doesn't have. I think he's got one.
That's why he's out. That's why he's out that spot, man. I mean, dude, you year after year you draft guys like Cole Strange and you draft guys that. I mean, I'm not saying that Cole Strange is bad. I mean, I don't know if that pick kind of panned. I think it did in a way, right? I don't know.
I mean, he's been okay.
But anyways, he's okay. But for anyways, I mean, the lack of bringing in offensive talent for the Patriots through the draft was just it was blatant. He's a guy that wants to draft offensive linemen. He wants to draft defensive guys, and nothing wrong with that. But when you have Tom Brady back there for years, and you don't supply him with the only number one wide receiver, pretty much solid number one wide receiver that you had, or Hall of Fame type of wide receiver was Randy Moss. You had Julian Edelman. You had Wes Welker for a year.
Those guys aren't going to the Hall.
Yeah, and those guys aren't going to the Hall of Fame. Those two guys aren't going to the Hall of Fame.
Wes Welker might make the Hall.
Wes Welker doesn't even have 10,000 yards, and he has no ring.
I don't think so. I don't even think he has. I don't even think Wes. Yeah,
he don't have 10,000 yards, and he don't have a ring. He's not going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he doesn't have a ring, and it's unfortunate because he went to Denver and they got smashed by Seattle, and then he lost the championship. Super Bowl Patriots.
So yeah, Bill Belichick. Yeah, it was just a series of just bad drafts and bad free agency decisions by Bill Belichick as the GM and the head coach.
As he said, Tom Brady got old, and he couldn't mask those other players' deficiencies like he used to.
Right.
And strange drafting decisions by Bill Belichick, right? If you have Tom Brady, if you have Tom Brady on your roster, why do you keep drafting quarterbacks in the middle rounds of the NFL draft? Like
Jimmy Garoppolo,
like all of those guys. Ryan Mallett, may he rest in peace. Constantly, Bill Belichick drafted quarterbacks to try to be the guy to replace Tom Brady. You still had Tom Brady, build the roster around him. But let's talk about Gerard Mayo. He's promoted the head coach. What does he bring to the table? What's the state of the Patriots right now?
It could be good, or it could be bad. It could be really, really, really bad.
It could be a DeMeco Ryan situation next year for them.
It could be, or it could be really bad. Like here's the thing. Here's the thing. Don't be Gerard Belichick. Be Gerard Mayo. Don't do what other former Patriot coaches fit like don't do what they did. They tried to instill the Patriot way in non-New England places. Can't do that. Be yourself. That's why Matt Patricia failed in Detroit. Right?
That's why every Bill Belichick disciple has failed everywhere they've gone. Like none of them have been successful.
Like, and this is also the second player of his to become a head coach. Mike Vrabel doesn't fall under the Patriot way because he wasn't a coach; he was a player. So Mike Vrabel was able to go to Tennessee and shape things in his own fashion, right? So Gerard Mayo, being a former player but also being on the staff, can be like, all right, I know what works. I know how to relate to these players. Why? Because I've been here. I also know these players. Go ahead.
Look, I think when you win 5 Super Bowls, and he's won one of them with Belichick, I think there's some type of formula for success there.
But it has to be
but
yours.
Do we
be
all?
original.
But do we have to all the way be like Bill Belichick? No, I think he's younger. I think he is going to bring some new energy into that franchise, into those players. I think he can relate a little bit, man.
Gerard Mayo has 1 ring.
He said that.
Well, that's what I just said. That's what I said.
I thought you said 4. My bad.
No, I said when Belichick wins 5 rings,
so when you win 5, and Gerard Mayo has one of them.
Gotcha.
And Gerard Mayo has one of them. Yeah. So there is some formula for success there. Obviously being under Belichick, but like I said, TJ, if you can be, if he's going to relate to the players a little bit more. He's younger. I think he's going to bring some more energy into the players. Bill Belichick. There's contrasting styles when it comes to different people. Bill Belichick's more of a how I want to say it.
He's old school.
He's old school. He's more of
I think
internal kind of guy.
I think the bigger problem
doesn't show
with
a lot of emotion.
whoever was going to be that
No
this roster is not in a good place. Like you can say whatever you want. This roster is not in a a good place. Like
was Houston's roster? Was Houston's roster in a good place?
Yeah, but they had the opportunity to draft CJ Stroud. Like they were able. Like there's no CJ Stroud.
And the Patriots have an opportunity to draft Drake May or whoever.
They have the third overall. They have the third pick.
They can draft either one of those guys.
Let's be fair. The weaponry in Houston is significantly better than the weaponry in New England. Nico Collins is better than every receiver in New England right now, and Nico Collins has been there for 2 years.
And they had money in free agency.
This is second year.
To bring like there's this roster's expensive. Like it's expensive and not all that good. Like they have 3 guys. Oh, that's just 2 guys.
Yeah, but we've seen.
This is not an overnight turnaround, in my opinion. Like I just think the roster
not an overnight turnaround, but in one off season, you draft, you have a really solid draft. You bring in a lot of guys. Like I said, look at Houston in the last couple of years. They brought in some solid pieces. This year, you bring in a guy like Tank Dell. You draft C.J. Stroud. You draft Will Anderson. All 3 of those guys, all 3 of them. Contributed right away for those teams, major contributions, right? And so you got to think about it, man. There's when you have a great draft,
are they moving on from Mac Jones? Are they moving on from Mac Jones? We don't know that. They ain't saying.
Yeah, I think they are.
I'm not staying with Mac Jones. He hasn't shown me anything that he could be a formidable quarterback.
Hold on. No. Other than his rookie, outside of his rookie year, outside of his rookie year, Mac Jones has been set up for failure.
It's true.
Come on, man.
One of the worst offensive lines. Don't
do that, Izzy. Be honest.
Moving on. Let's talk about which of these coaching decisions would you call the most shocking, if there even is one, or maybe it was a guy who wasn't fired. We'll talk about like most shocking coaching decision, and then who else should we keep our eyes on? For a guy who could be out of their job within the next 24 hours.
Oh, well, I think this is not a shocker. Big boy Mike McCarthy he's gonna be gone as ever.
I doubt it. I doubt he gets fired, mostly because the 2 names.
Why not?
Because first off, here's the thing: the 2 names that are being affiliated with that job are 2 of the biggest.
Probably ain't gonna want to leave.
No. One is Bill Belichick. And the other,
that's a no-go.
And the other is Jim Harbaugh. These are 2 dudes. These are right. Thank you. These are 2 dudes who, Jerry, shut up. They have no problem telling Jerry to shut the hell up.
Jim Harbaugh is going to be expensive. Like,
no, they don't. They have no problem with telling Jerry to shut up, stay out my locker room.
Right, so like,
stay out my damn locker room and cut the checks.
I think for me personally, the most shocking coaching decision was the Pete Carroll move. I didn't think he'd get fired. I'm pretty surprised that Seattle just pushed him to the side like this.
No, they had to. It was time.
It's disrespectful.
It's
like
not.
Pete Carroll's earned his opportunity to go out when he wants to go out.
Nothing. You know what he
earned?
At
least he's in an advisor role, bro.
He is not going to be there by the end of this coaching carousel. He will be coaching somewhere else.
You know what he earned, David? You know what he earned? One of the worst places in NFL history. You killed a dynasty because of one call. That's what you will. I don't care what you've done. You will forever be remembered as the guy who ran the ball inside the 1 yard line.
I'm not completely shocked, but I understand why other people are that the Chicago Bears didn't move on from Matt Eberflus.
That's probably the most shocking. I think. I think Matt Eberflus not going.
I said it. I'm like, bro, 7 wins. I'm like 7 wins. 7 wins. He saves his job. Because you
double your win totally. I mean, for most franchises, that would be improvement. You'd see improvement. You'd be like, yeah, all right, but not for this.
I mean, it's almost a foregone conclusion too that Justin Fields is probably going to be traded.
Like, think about you went from 3 wins to 7. You took over the defense. You turned that defensive unit into a top 10 unit. After literally one trade was made. After one trade, they traded for one guy. One guy, they brought in Montez Sweat. That literally changed everything. And this is after you lost the guy who's supposed to be your second best edge rusher in Yannick Ngakoue. So you bring in Sweat, you lose Ngakoue. You, from the minute you made that trade to the end of the season, you led the league in turnover. I mean, in takeaways. Right? So people acting like, oh, the Bears are going to bear. Like he did what y'all asked. Like he literally did what y'all asked. Like he went from the worst team to 7 wins. That's not terrible.
Yeah, noticeable improvement for the defense. Noticeable improvement from Justin Fields. We'll talk more about the Bears offseason when we get closer to it. I think when it comes back to who else do we have to keep our eyes on, obviously Mike McCarthy, and then Nick Sirianni. I think if the Eagles were to get absolutely caked tonight by Tampa Bay.
Let David give his reason.
I think the fan base is starting to turn on him already. I could see a scenario where they fire him. And Howie Roseman is a very cutthroat man. If he sees an opportunity to upgrade the coaching position, come up short in the Super Bowl, have a woeful down the stretch path here where you lose the division, you're 11-1. Everybody's like, oh, the Eagles, and now look at you.
I think what you got to do is
I could see a scenario.
Matt Patricia. That's first thing first. Just get rid. Just get rid of Matt Patricia. I think all your problems are solved.
Well, a lot of things can be solved by just getting rid of Matt Patricia.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, dude, you're carrying. I mean, he's. What are you doing with that pencil? What are you doing?
Who uses a
pencil right there? I mean, I don't get this guy is terrible. He's terrible. He's terrible with the Lions. I don't understand why Nick Sirianni appointed him as the DC. Where's Darius Slay been? We all know that they don't like each other. He hasn't even been like, where the hell has he been at?
I think a name that we should all keep our eye on, real talk, is Sean McVay.
No, I think he's been hell of a job.
I think he's being rejected.
No, I'm not saying Sean McVay is going to get. I'm not saying he'll get fired. I'm not saying that. I think Sean McVay is seriously mulling retirement.
I think he's been rejuvenated by this particular Rams team. I think he's going to come back. Because they talked about this a lot last offseason. I don't think he's going to retire.
I'm going to try and be as respectful as I can when I say this. But when you got a nice honey bun like that, I would think about retiring too.
Why do you think?
Don't come at me. You can't fire me, son.
Hey man, why do you think Cliff Kingsbury's not chomping at the bit to get back in the NFL? I've seen a lot of other things that Cliff Kingsbury's got.
Most shocking. Someone to keep our eye on.
Hey, you know what? So many people
I mean, Dennis Allen. Dennis
you know-
Allen is another one. I think there's still a scenario where he
Oh,
gets fired.
dude, I'm
New
surprised.
Orleans.
That is another one. I am so surprised that Dennis Allen has kept his job. I am so
Yeah.
surprised. Why in the world has Dennis Allen kept his job? Why is he still the New Orleans Saints head coach? He has done such a horrible job there. You literally have all the pieces to be a playoff team. You can't even win the NFC South, most terrible division in football. And you have all that talent defensively and offensively, albeit I know you didn't have Alvin Kamara for a nice lengthy part of the season, but still, dude, you have done a terrible job. Your teammates, your team has undermined you. I mean, that whole Jameis Winston thing at the 1 yard line. Are you kidding me?
That doesn't happen to anybody else. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, dude. Like Dennis Allen should totally be on the hook right now. He should totally be on the hook, and I can't believe he's still like there in New Orleans. That is,
I know they paid this guy and they traded stuff for him, but I can see a scenario where Sean Payton is just given his walking papers. Like he's not done a good. He has not done a good job there in Denver.
That whole Russell Wilson debacle.
It's also been 1 year, and
yeah,
they're not doing that again.
I mean, another guy is Doug Peterson too from Jacksonville Jaguars. That collapse, you go from having a 99% chance of making the playoffs to missing it entirely.
I was gonna say Doug Peterson. But I said if he does the same thing, if they don't make the playoffs next season, I think he's definitely gone.
Oh, I agree with you on that.
That has more sting than what the hell did you just say?
We just
Sirianni.
No. Sean Payton.
Dennis Allen. Oh, Sean Payton.
We're just talking about Sean Payton, Dennis Allen.
There's drama coming out of the Big Apple with Brian Daboll and his staff. Like
you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Daboll did get fired either, too. TJ.
So
I think he's going to be safe. I think he's safe.
I'm gonna say this about Brian Daboll. He has rubbed me wrong in a lot of ways this season by the way that he comes at his players on national TV. You know, you got all these cameras watching you, and he's just coming at his players all just nasty and just ripping into them like okay, it's a time and place for everything. I've seen Matt LaFleur do it, and I've seen also Matt LaFleur, hug his guys or give him a dab. It's like Brian Daboll
it's like hey,
go sit in the corner over there. You know what I mean? Like,
let's talk best and worst job. Which of these outside of the Patriots job, obviously because it's been filled, what do you think is the best job of these seven?
Of these seven, because one job you don't have listed is you don't have coordinators listed. One of the sneaky best jobs will be whoever is that OC that comes to Chicago. Obviously, the head coaching job, Izzy said it in LA. You getting Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Who the hell is that big ass tight end? Darnell.
They got Gerald Everett. They
got
the dude who was playing in the XFL a couple seasons ago. His name is escaping me right now. Donald Parham. There you go.
Donald Parham. You got the other dude. You got Austin Eckler.
I'm not sure Austin Eckler's back here. You got Khalil Mack. I mean, you got some deep.
Khalil Mack on the other side. Joey Bosa, man. He needs to get
Derwin James.
Like it's so good. It's a whip down there.
I agree with you. I think that is 100% the best job of these 8 that we've talked about.
I think that's where Belichick goes.
We'll talk about it in a second. Worst job.
Oh, it's Carolina.
Worst job?
Carolina.
Worst job. I don't think it's Carolina. I think it's Washington.
No.
Yeah, I think it's Washington. Washington has the worst job.
Why?
Dude, that job stinks, man.
Why?
They don't like outside of Scary Terry. What is the pieces there that you're like super excited about getting your hands on as a head coach?
Like at least Carolina has a young budding quarterback. At least they have a run game. At least they have remnants of a solid defense. Huh?
Y'all dead ass in the disrespect Curtis Samuel like that?
Hell yeah.
Curtis Samuel, I think, is a free agent. Like, he might not even back here.
Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson in the backfield. Like, come on,
bro. Disrespecting that whole offense, bro. They are garbage.
They have one of the worst offensive lines in football. I mean, it's not even close. But I do agree with you. I think Carolina is a terrible job.
Washington job is a shit show. I think, but I think with new ownership, they're going to try and turn it around. But I mean, people are going to be walking on eggshells in Washington. I do not want that job at all.
Let's go. Final predictions of who gets these jobs. Let's start at the top. Let's start with Las Vegas. Quick round robin because we got 7 minutes before the start of Monday Night Football. Izzy, who starts? Who gets that coaching job in Las Vegas?
It's got to be Antonio.
Pierce.
Antonio Pierce. It's got to be Antonio Pierce.
TJ?
I'm sorry. Quick round robin, but can I get a quick point in?
Yeah,
go. You fumbled it when your last interim coach Rick Biasia got you to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not buying any Raider fans that say the players didn't respond to Versace. Are you a fan of your team or not? Versace got them to the playoffs. I ain't trying to hear shit about it.
Given what was going on with that team at the time, the fact that he got those to the playoffs is.
I would love to see Versace get a head coaching job.
I agree with you, Antonio Pierce. Max Crosby threatened to trade me away if you hire anyone else. That's legit. I don't think that's just some smoke on the wall. Max Crosby doesn't. Max Crosby doesn't seem like a guy who would just say something like that just as an idle threat. That seems like something for real. Carolina, who replaces Frank Reich?
Who wants that job?
Pete Carroll wants that job. Pete Carroll will be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. I think he feels like he was done dirty in Seattle, which he was. And he will be, and not to mention, he wants to get back in the NFL. Nobody's going to take this job. Pete Carroll is the only one that makes any sense whatsoever. Who else is taking this job?
Not Pete Carroll.
It'll be Pete Carroll.
Not Pete Carroll. Some college coach is going to get this
job. Some guy that wants to some guy that wants to call himself an NFL.
Whatever.
Pete Carroll. I'm putting it on the record right now. Pete Carroll will be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers by the time the season starts. Put it on the record. You guys have any other prediction? You got something? Anyone?
I don't care. They'll be fired.
I said some budding college coach. I mean, who?
Lincoln Riley.
I doubt that.
Nick Saban?
No. Nick Saban's not going anywhere. No. Some coach from like the Big 12 or some shit, something like that. You know what I mean?
Brandon
Josh
Staley.
Heupel, maybe from Tennessee. No, I'm just playing.
Who replaces Brandon Staley in Los Angeles? I'm going to go Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. I think they need an offensive mind there in LA. Ben Johnson.
John Harbaugh interviewed with the Chargers today.
Yes, he did.
I'm gonna go with John Harbaugh.
I don't think Harbaugh is running it back in Michigan. I think with everything that's been going on.
So here's the thing.
The Chargers will back up the Brinks truck to John Harbaugh's house.
All right, real quick point. Like
I'm gonna go Bill Belichick though.
If you're John Harbaugh, the one thing that you will establish in LA, that the one thing the Chargers desperately need is a fan base. The Chargers have to be the only team that's outnumbered at home.
When I went to that game in Detroit at SoFi Stadium, there were more by a long shot, a country mile. There were more Lions fans in that building than Chargers fans by a country mile.
Dude, because LA's a Rams and a Raiders town, bro. Like
everybody, the Raiders haven't been there in 20 years.
But it doesn't matter.
30 years, Oakland, maybe.
Not Oakland, but Vegas. Vegas is LA's second home. Like people from LA go to Vegas all the time. I mean, they go there on weekends all the time. It's only a 5-hour drive.
It's not that far.
4.5, 5-hour drive. So, I think the Chargers are getting Belichick though.
Arthur Smith fired in Atlanta. Who replaces him?
I think this is where Ben Johnson goes.
If he
wants to. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna go Eric Bieniemy. I think it's. I know the tenure didn't necessarily.
Great hire.
I know the tenure didn't necessarily go how he wanted in Washington with the Commanders. You kind of wanted to pave your own path. Let's not forget, Sam Howell led the league in passing yards at one point this season. I think Eric Bieniemy makes a lot of sense there in Atlanta. You give him a young quarterback, you give him Justin Fields potentially. I think he can make some magic there in Atlanta.
Oh man, if he gets Justin Fields, watch out.
Yeah.
And him or Ben Johnson's a great hire.
Who replaces Ron Rivera for the Commanders?
Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore. Ooh.
I'm gonna go. I think this is the Belichick landing spot. I think this is where Belichick. You got a brand new coach. You got a brand new ownership group. You want to make a huge splash. There's no bigger splash than bringing in Bill Belichick. He can return glory to the once great franchise. Bill Belichick, Commanders.
Somebody. Who's the defensive coordinator from the Ravens?
I forgot
Hold
his
on.
name.
He's got to be getting some type of interest.
I will look that up in a second.
Yeah, he's got to be getting some. Type
Mike
of
McDonald is the defensive coordinator for the
He
Baltimore
is
Ravens.
getting
Mike
interviewed.
McDonald.
He did, somebody did request to interview him. I forgot who though.
Yeah, he's got to be getting some interest. So maybe that's where he lands up.
Matter of
Washington. Mike McDonald.
both coordinators be on the lookout for them in Baltimore.
From there, let's talk about Seattle. Who do you think ends up becoming the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks?
This is where Dan Quinn ends up right here.
Go
This
back
is a
home.
perfect spot.
You go back
Yes,
home.
this is a perfect spot for Dan Quinn. Seattle. Dan Quinn is going to be a Seattle Seahawk when it's all
I'm going to
said
go
and done.
Mike Vrabel. I think he's going to get a head coaching job like that. I think Seattle makes a lot of sense. He'd build up that defensive defensive coach, get some coordinators in there. Mike Vrabel, I think, will be the next coach in Seattle.
Todd Monken, OC from the Ravens.
I like that.
I like it. I like Todd Monken. Yeah.
And then the final coaching vacancy, at least at the time of this recording, is in the Tennessee as the Tennessee Titans. Who do you think replaces Mike Vrabel? Izzy, I'll let you have the floor first.
Man, honestly, man, I don't know, man. To be honest,
I don't know, man.
I really don't know who wants that damn job. To be honest with you, it could literally be anybody. It can literally be anybody. Well, I'll throw out like who's the Eagles? Sean Desai. Where's he at?
Yeah, he there.
Yeah, he there. The Eagles offensive coordinator.
No,
yeah.
he's a defensive
Sean
guy.
Desai. Let's go, Sean Desai, Tennessee.
I think because they did the defensive thing already, I think they go the other way. Go ahead, David.
I'm going to go Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn's earned a chance to be back in the NFL.
Another defensive thing.
I think it's going to be Dan Quinn.
I'm going to go because if you're in Tennessee, you got to look at it like if you're a candidate for that job, you got to look at it like this. I'm for sure going to have a young quarterback, whether it's Will Levis or I say I need my own guy, right? You have what's it called? You don't know what the situation is with Derrick Henry. Me personally, I feel like Derrick Henry should never wear another uniform that's not a Tennessee Titan uniform. Like I feel like he's like as a player, what he's meant to that franchise, like he's earned that right. Like this is also a guy that you put the what's his name? Oh God. The running back that used to play for the Cowboys, he was like he got paid.
DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, you put DeMarco Murray in front of him for like what 2 years?
Yeah, Derrick Henry single-handedly put DeMarco Murray on the shelf for his.
You gotta look at it like that. Like obviously you need more.
I like Kellen. I like Kellen Moore for this job too. I didn't even think about Kellen Moore. That's the low-key sneaky good hire somewhere.
I don't know if he has the temperament to be a head coach though. But I said
that didn't work out at all in LA. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't. The thing is with Kellen Moore, he might be a good OC, but but I said the same thing about Matt LaFleur until I actually saw Matt LaFleur get into his player's ass, and I was like, holy smokes.
But Izzy, so here's the thing. Those 3 years, what is he gonna say to a dude like Aaron Rodgers? How is he gonna be like, no, like you messed up on like with these guys, with the Jordan Love, with the Romeo Dobbs, with Dontavian Wicks, Luke Musgrave, he can go to them and be like, hey, you effed up. He can get it. He's probably allowed to do that now. We all remember what the GM said when he hired Matt LaFleur. We all remember what because it was news for a whole week. They hired Matt LaFleur. GM goes to Aaron Rodgers and said, hey, don't you be the problem. Don't you be the problem. You. You as in Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. You. My question for y'all is, on the list that David just had up, do you think any of those 8 get another shot? Do you think someone calls a Frank Wright and say, hey,
Pete Carroll is coaching next season?
Minus Pete Carroll.
Does not get a damn.
Pete Carroll is 72 years old, bro.
Pete Carroll
as dirt, boy.
Pete Carroll will be a head coach next season, and Bill Belichick will be a coach next season too.
Arthur Smith, they just gonna tell him to go deliver some packages. Yo, you done. You don't need to be no head coach no more.
Are you talking about ever?
Tried it out.
I think Frank Wright will get another shot eventually once he works his way through the coordinator. I think Ron Rivera's done. I don't think Josh McDaniels will ever coach again. Like, I think he'll be a coordinator, but he'll never get a head coach.
I'm trying to think of a college head coach that.
And Mike Vrabel will for sure have a new job.
That's the thing. There is no hot coaching guy right now. Like the one guy that everybody
only one is Coach Prime.
He stated multiple times he has no desire to coach in the NFL. Why he can't?
And Harbaugh, Prime and Harbaugh. That's it.
I think remember how literally 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Lincoln Riley was that guy. Like there isn't that guy anymore. Like there isn't that guy coming out of college anymore.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I always thought that Lincoln Riley would just bolt college for the pros.
I thought he would do that with
for Caleb with Caleb Williams. If that Bears job was open, I think that Lincoln Riley would have got an extreme look. I think they would have come in with Caleb Williams. Yes,
think they would have pulled the double whammy.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I could see that happening too. But yeah, this has been our 2024 NFL Coaching Carousel. Thank you very much for checking us out here at Prime. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. I'm David Huffman, Israel Rivera, and TJ Hopkins. Gentlemen, what we do here at the Prime, my friends?
We bring the heat, and we need some more heat. Because it's cold as hell in Illinois.
It's cold as hell in Indiana, too, baby. We'll be back here tomorrow breaking down Super Wildcard Weekend. As we had a lot of blowouts so far this weekend. Hopefully the final game of the weekend is good. So enjoy that. We'll be back here tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Go Pack, go, baby. Shout out to my Packers for the blowout win.
The show is over.